femininity, womanhood, and I give you overall life advice. So if any of that interests you, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Being mediocre is a choice. That is going to be the topic for this live chat. I'll let some of you come on in here. And there's my earring. Being mediocre is a choice. This was really on my mind today because a lot of people have settled on being mediocre because they think they can do no better than mediocre. So I'm going to wait for a few of you to come in here while I sip my smoothie. It got really hot today here in my city. It's like summer already, and I'm not ready. I like the summer, I like the heat, but I'm not ready for it yet. So yes, being mediocre is a choice. That's what we're discussing right now, among other things, because as you know, or should know by now, I tend to drift off into different things. So we're going to talk about a little bit of everything, but the topic is being mediocre is a choice. Trying to get my angles and everything right with going live. It's a little bit different than making the video. Normally I shoot my videos in my office, but when I go live, I notice being in my dining room area, it kind of, the lighting and everything is better, so I try to come down here. But you know, this is not about perfection. This is about valuable information and getting to know my community, okay? So we're going to work with this lighting and everything I have here. I hope everybody is doing wonderful. Being mediocre is a choice. Too many of us let people talk us into remaining the same or struggling or accepting less than what we could actually have because we have been taught to glorify struggle. And we don't do that here. As feminine women, we do not glorify struggle. We do not glorify doing the bare minimum. We do not glorify having the bare minimum. I'm going to get into it, but I'm going to let a few of you come on in. I am drinking a banana, pineapple, spinach, and blueberry smoothie. It is so good. I'm on like a detox right now because I think last week I drank so many iced coffees and lattes that are kind of messed with my GI system a little bit. So I'm in the detoxing phase right now. And I'm not eating any meat. I rarely eat meat anyway, but I'm not really going to eat meat at all anymore because it's just wreaking havoc on my system. I never ate beef, but I'm more of like a chicken and fish kind of girl, but I'm getting rid of the chicken too. No more meat. It's too much on my system. But yes, being mediocre is a choice. So what do I mean by being mediocre is a choice? Many of us grew up in an environment where people were accustomed to the grind. They were accustomed to having to grab at any opportunities that came available because many of them were scarce. I'm going to sip some water. Many opportunities were scarce. So a lot of our family, they felt like they had to grab at whatever was available to them because they had no other choices. Now we have choices on how we want to live and how we want to be. So being mediocre is a choice. Some people have fear of what other people will say if they see you doing well. Some people are afraid to allow other people see them trying. I can tell you from experience with what I'm doing now on YouTube here. For many years, because I believe I could have had a YouTube channel a long time ago. And I actually started back in 2017 and then I stopped. You know why I stopped? Because I had a fear of what people would say when they see me online. When they see me and say, oh, you're doing this now? I didn't want their perception of me to be like, I'm trying to be somebody. Because at that time, my confidence wasn't where it needed to be. My confidence wasn't, in the place where I felt like I just didn't care what people think. What I want to accomplish is more important. I still very much cared about what people thought about me. So that stopped me from creating the channel a long time ago. Because I was afraid people would say, oh, who does she think she is? What does she think she's doing this? How is she going to do that? But when I realize that what I want to accomplish and what I need to do in my life is more important than what the people think of me, that's when I began to get things in motion. For so long, I didn't want to call myself an author, even though that's very much what I am. I wrote my first book in 2017. It's called Standard of Womanhood. I wrote my first book then, and I didn't want to call myself an author because, again, I think they call that imposter syndrome, where you feel like you're trying to be like everybody else instead of realizing and recognizing that you're operating in your genuine gift and ability. I think many people struggle with that. Many people struggle with feeling like they're trying to be like somebody else opposed to operating in their actual gifts. When you realize that nobody is better than anybody else, and there's nothing new under the sun, which means whatever has been done will continue to be done in different ways and maybe even better. And normally what happens when people come along to step into an arena where they don't think they belong, they do better than the people that they are already competing against. But many of us sit back on our gifts and our talents and our abilities out of fear of what people are going to say. So as feminine, confident women, I would encourage you not to do that. We can't afford to do that because in the time that we live in, we can't afford to be mediocre because we are trying to thrive in our lives. We are trying to do well for ourselves. And I'm not talking about just financially. I mean spiritually, mentally, physically, and every other way that you can think. We want to thrive in every area of our lives. And when you have decided that you are done just surviving life and you actually want to live it and you want to experience it and you want it to be good while you're here, you will put down worrying about what other people think and you will really go heavy in what you know your skills, talents, and abilities are. And of course, as feminine women, I'm not saying that we're going to be grinding, going into the paint, doing things the hard way because we work smarter, not harder. But we very much have goals and aspirations that we want to accomplish or should have goals and aspirations for ourselves. And we don't allow people to talk us out of that. I know some of you are probably living in a household with people that are very toxic. Anytime you say you're doing something great, you might say, for instance, I'm about to apply for this job, that might be a high level job. Let's say you say, I want to be an aerospace technician, whatever. You might live in a household where the people in your household, that might be a foreign concept to them. They're just accustomed to people, you work at the store up the street. I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying they're just accustomed to certain levels. But when you come along with your delusions of grandeur, with your whimsical thinking, with your delusionalness, or you being delusional, as people say, they think, oh my goodness, I done lost my earring. So that means I'll take the other one out too. Because we're not going to do that. Oh, actually look cute for that. Okay. Anyway, when they say that you're being delusional because you want to do more than what they can even imagine, that's when you are really tested. That's when you're going to have to ask yourself, am I going to allow what they think I can accomplish to stop me from going on to greatness? Just because they think that I can only be a cashier, is that going to stop me from going to school for aerospace technology? I hope you get the point, because many people are stuck and stagnant in life because they are in situations or around people who are teaching them or influencing them to only accept less because that's what they're accustomed to. I know how that feels to be around people who want to see you eat, but they don't want to see you eat well. Okay? They want to see you, make sure you're fed, but just not as good as them. Okay, it's like it's good enough if you're eating ramen noodles, like at least you eating. We don't subscribe to that kind of mentality here. We do not try to fit what we want. So for instance, if you are struggling and you can only afford to get noodles right now, but you need meat for protein or you need vegetables high in protein, you are not going to I'm going to just pull out this, pull out that. I'm going to budget and do all these different things and cipher these things out. So that way you're trying to fit an ooza noodle budget instead of trying to create a budget where you can get meat. So many people are accustomed to dumbing down instead of trying to do better. And as feminine women, as confident feminine women, as wise, divine feminine women, we do not subscribe to that mentality. We do not allow people to try to manipulate us and trick us into believing that our wants and desires are unrealistic. We don't let people talk us into believing that we're asking too much because we want to be in healthy relationships where we are being cared for, provided for, taken care of. We don't allow people to talk us into believing that wanting to have a safer, better environment for ourselves is unrealistic. We don't subscribe to that. We don't allow people to put their insecurities on us. In other words, excuse me, 1 minute, 1 minute. Head and the back. We do not, as I was saying, allow people to put their insecurities on us. And when you allow people to influence you away from your better judgment and elevating your life, that is exactly what you do. You allow people to talk you out of doing the very thing that you know you should be doing. And why do people do this sometimes? Why do people encourage mediocrity instead of greatness? Well, a lot of times people encourage you to be mediocre because they themselves feel like they can only reach a certain level in life. So they don't want to see you doing any better than them. So that way they'll try to say little things to cause you to stay stuck. But when you grow in your confidence and your abilities, you're going to have to learn how to let the things that other people say roll off of your back. And you're also going to have to learn how to put yourself in environments where you're around people who share a common interest, a common goal as yourself. I didn't begin to really elevate in my thinking until I got outside of my circle of influence. When I started being more in tune, like watching different videos, and I was a part of certain groups for a little while, and I got around other people that had the same kind of mindset as me, not as in we have the same personality, but we all have that mindset of growth. When you have a growth mindset, there's nothing that you cannot do. And when you couple that with your faith, the way I see it, if God is no respecter of persons, what he can do for one, he can do for me. Why can't I have that? They have it. Why can't I have it? It's not envy. It's not covetousness. It's that you understand that you are worthy. You understand that there's nothing so special about another person that they just somehow got this out of luck, but you yourself are not worthy of it. Don't allow people to cause you to think that you're not worthy of having better in life, because that is really a bum mindset to have. And I really just have to say it the way it is. Some people, some of us, we are allowing people to think, oh, why would you get that car? I grew up around the type of people, and I'm not saying every single person I grew up around was a bad person. It's just their mentality. And sometimes when you live in certain places, you live in the hood, you live in, you live in a struggle situation, you have the kind of mindset that says, I can only have certain things. I can only do certain things. And even the idea of being a woman that wants to lean back into her femininity, which is the main point of this video, that is also seen as a foreign concept to many people. A black woman who wants to lean into her femininity? What are you talking about? That's whimsical thinking. That's, you must be delulu, as they say. What are you talking about? That's how they think. Anytime a person sees a black woman resting, especially a younger black woman, they will look at you, and this is not just for black women. I'm not trying to separate, but I'm a black woman, so of course I'm going to speak to us. But I speak to us mainly because we was not really allotted the opportunity to thrive in our femininity because of stereotypes, because of history, because of what was expected of us. So when I speak about black women, I'm not tuning out other women. Don't feel that way, because this is all things woman. But the point here is that if somebody sees a black woman dare to rest in her femininity, They see us relaxing. They see us with husbands, or fiancés or boyfriends doing what they need to do for us, and we're just relaxed. We're not trying to come along to save everybody, like that very cringe interview that Drew Barrymore just did with Kamala Harris. I saw the clip of it when she asked her to be Mamala for the country. See, that said a whole lot. That one statement is making the point of why we need to lean back more than anything into our femininity. Because people will always see us as the ones who have to come in and save a nation. Can I tell you something? I'm not trying to save a nation. I'm just trying to keep myself together. I want to thrive and live for God. I want to do what He's called me to do. I want to be how He's called me to be. I want to be the feminine, divine, wise woman I know to be. It's time for us to kind of lay down that whole wanting to step in to save everybody and feel like we constantly have to be on. And then my point was, what I was saying is that when people see you leaning back, especially as a black woman, that's very odd to them. They're looking like, why aren't you working right now? Like, I can tell you, I went into the mall. I go to the mall often in the morning because I'm a early bird for the most part, as far as when I get up, and I like to do slow things in the morning. I'm not a morning person, as in a lot of interaction with people, hence the reason why my videos come out in the evening time and in the afternoon. I like to ease into my day. So even if I'm up at 6 in the morning, I'm not going to be running around and stuff. So I say that to say I'm in the malls or in the stores pretty early, like soon as they open, like around 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, I'm there. And you mainly see older people, or the areas I go into, you see older people, and they're looking at me like, why are you not at work? I get like eyes rolled at me sometimes, like, why are you here? I remember one time I sat in the massage chair at the mall. It was my first time doing it. I was like, you know what? My legs are hurting today for some reason. I'm going to sit in this massage chair and relax. You can't believe, I can't tell you how many people were looking at me as if I was doing something wrong. They're so accustomed to seeing us running after kids, and we're just ripping and running, or we're walking through the mall, walking through the store looking like we're so anxious and like we're upset or mad about something. I was sitting back in that massage chair, looking at my phone, sipping my drink, not worrying about a thing. I was in the moment. And let me put my do not disturb on. Unfortunately, seeing a woman, especially a younger black woman, sit back being unbothered, minding her business, relaxing, being in her femininity, that is very odd. So that's why we have to come along and train people to see us as worthy of being able to rest. We have to put down the idea that in order to be valuable, you must be working 15 jobs, going to school at night, taking care of kids, taking care of husband, or chasing after your baby daddy, doing all these different things. And I'm not saying this stuff to be smart, because this is a lot of people's reality. But let me tell you, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Feminine women are not constantly booked and busy in that way. If we are booked and busy, we are booked and busy taking care of our physical and our mental and our spiritual well-being. When I say things like this, I'm coming from experience, because I'm still paying the price now for choices I made when I was in my 20s and earlier 30s, which was not that long ago. I used to work myself into exhaustion. And because of that, I developed GI issues. I developed acid reflux. I had to wean myself off of that reflux medication for a year. I was always wound up with some kind of worry or concern. I felt like nothing was ever enough. I had to be ripping and running and making sure I did. Going behind my husband, trying to make sure of this, even though he was really doing what he's supposed to do. But see, for a person who's pent up and anxious, when you're dealing with a person who is not pent up and anxious, but yet they're getting things done, it'll appear to you as if they're doing nothing. So I was very much like that. My husband was a little too laid back for me. I'm like, why aren't you stressing? Why aren't you worried? And he's just by faith doing what he knows to do. But I was the opposite of that. And because of how I was brought up, I was brought up to believe that you always got to work smarter, you got to be harder. My dad, he's from the old school, he's born in the 40s. And this is exactly what he would say. You got to be better than them, talking about vanilla people. He would say, you got to work as twice as them. You got to work harder than them. You got to do this, got to do that. And I took that mentality into my adulthood, thinking I have to be better than this, better than that in every area of life. Until I woke up and realized, yes, what he's saying, I should be doing well. I get that. Of course, my dad taught me to do well. But one thing I'm not going to do is compare and try to seek the approval of anybody, no race, no mentality, of nobody. Because I am a woman. I am a child of God. He did not create me to be trying to compare and outdo whoever. That's not my job. My job is to be a feminine presence and to be in care of whatever he gives me, i.e. my children, my husband, whatever career you might have, your business, whatever your giftings are. But you can't hear any of that if you are too busy taking in these negative mindsets and mentalities that people are giving to you. People try to hold you back because they only see themselves going but so far. You have to use wisdom and realize when somebody's trying to do that to you. So being mediocre is very much a choice. And another reason why some of us stay mediocre is because you keep telling everybody your plans. Feminine women are smart. We're not just about looks. We're not just about aesthetics. We are smart. We use our wisdom to do things in certain ways that will continue to bring us peace and allow us to thrive. And that includes not talking too much. You don't want to share too much of what you have going on with other people. When people say they move in silence, but then they get online and say, this year I'm going to accomplish a lot. I'm definitely going to be moving in silence. Well, you have told everybody what you're doing. You are loudly telling everybody that you're moving in silence. When a woman moves in silence, she just does. People just begin to see different things happening in her life and they don't understand how. I can tell you that's what's happening to me right now. People see that our life is going on, but they don't know what I do because I'm no longer reporting what I do. I tell you, every time I got a new job, I was on the phone, I was texting, telling my friends, telling them, telling this. Every time I started a new venture, I was letting people know what I was doing. I didn't really start doing well until I started to be quiet. When I got quiet and focused on what I wanted to do and how I wanted to live, that's when things began to change. That's when I started seeing progress in my business. That's when I gained the confidence to do what I'm doing now and to start coaching people and to start encouraging people and doing different things. But as long as I kept talking about it, nothing was really happening. And many of us talk so much about what we want to do, we actually trick our brain into believing that we're doing more than what we're actually doing. So I'm telling you this, and I'm speaking about being mediocre because while you are in your feminine, the one thing that holds women back from really thriving in their femininity is purpose. When you begin to lean back, you feel like, okay, or according to what you see on the internet, some women believe that being feminine is just, okay, now I'm going to dress in pink. Now I'm going to make sure I wear certain lipsticks and makeup. I'm going to get into makeup. I'm going to get into hair. I'm going to get into fashion. It's not cosplay. Like being a feminine woman is not cosplay. It's not, dress up. You're not playing costume. Being a feminine woman in a holistic way, which is what I teach here, is actually getting into your mind, your body, and your spirit. That's just not a saying. That's actually holistic femininity. When you get into your mindset as a woman, you want to look at how you've been thinking thus far. Who have you allowed to encourage you and your standard of womanhood? Who have you allowed to tell you what it is to be a woman? Who are your examples? Are you following culture? Are you following pop culture? Are you following reality TV? Are you following the bad examples that you had in your life growing up? So you begin to look at your environment from a socioeconomic standpoint. I don't believe that other things that happen in your life are other people's fault, because there gets to a time where you have a choice, but you have to look at that. And then also, your mental. What do you take in that is causing you to think that leaning into your femininity is a weakness? Because for many women, because of hyper feminism, not the first wave, but the second wave that says that pretty much we are men, a lot of women are missing out on the opportunity to just be and to just rest. And I'm not saying you don't work. I'm not saying that you don't go to school or take care of your family. But what has happened, the spirit of confusion has come along to trick women into believing that they can go just as hard as men. And I can tell you, while we are tough cookies, we are strong. Some of us are very strong, stronger than the others. Some of us are like warriors. You can fight, you can do everything you need to do if you have to. But I can tell you, your physical anatomy is still the same. No matter how much strength you think you have in your mind, over time, you will get tired of predominantly operating that way. I got tired of predominantly operating that way. I got tired of feeling like I had to hold the world up by my own hands. I don't know why any woman would want that, but some way, somehow, and I think this is a lot of programming, women have been conditioned to believe that if they can do exactly what a man can do, they're valuable. And that they should be able to do what a man can do, they are valuable. I say let him be a man. If you have a man in your life, and you don't have to have a man in your life to be feminine, but there are men in the world. And if they are available to do the hard things, let them do it. I'm sorry, when I speak about femininity, I'm going to speak in it in relation to the masculine, because the masculine and the feminine dynamic operate together. How do you know how feminine you really are unless you are having that contact with a man? You can be feminine in your stature, in your graciousness, and how you carry yourself, but it's going to be tested when you come into the presence of a masculine man and he desires to lead you or to help you in some way. And then you're going to realize how either feminine you really are or how masculine you really are. Hey, Kaylin, when a man comes along and says, I can carry your groceries for you, ma'am, and you say, no, I got it, don't worry about it, I got it. That's a test. When a man comes along and says, what are you doing? Why are you up here? I got it. When you're checking in to your hotel, or when you're, in the grocery store, or you're in the mall and he wants to pay and you already got your card out, you're going to know whether or not you are more in your feminine or more in your masculine. I'm not saying, because I feel like, I'm very like, I can kind of read things ahead of time. Like I have that foresight to see what people will already say. I'm not saying that you can't treat your man. If you're married, you can spend money on your man if you want to. I wouldn't do it all the time, but I'm not saying you can't spend money for your man. I bought my husband a salad last week when we was downtown, okay? I'm not saying you can't buy something for your man. But what I am saying is that your default should not be to automatically be in the position to take care of everything. Because you know what you do? You program them to believe that, hey, she got it already. And I know I'm kind of getting away from the mediocre topic here, but as you should know by now, this is all things woman. So I discuss a little bit of everything in my lives. But you don't want to know, you will know if you're heavily in your masculine or your feminine in relation to masculinity. So that's when I talk about femininity, I talk about it in relation to the masculine. But back to being mediocre. We cannot allow people to talk us out of what we want to do. Many of us have been programmed by, just bad circumstances. We have this pessimistic attitude. And women who are in their femininity are not pessimists. We do not see things like we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I can't stand that. And a lot of what I'm speaking about, I used to subscribe to that. I used to just believe, it's always something. It's always going to be something. And yes, while we live in a world where a lot of times, there is something. But your world, your personal reality doesn't have to be that way. I think many people don't realize that they have more control over their lives than what they actually do. You might not be able to control every single thing that happens in the world, but you can control how you live when you get into your home. You can control what spirits you invite into your house. You can control the people that you choose to entertain and invite into your home. I believe that a lot of things are spiritual. I believe that when I speak to different people, I try their spirit to see where they're coming from. I want to know if you're really for me or against me. I want to know if what you're saying is coming from a genuine place, because that's going to impact me in some way, and I don't need that negativity. I don't need somebody trying to tell me that what I want is wrong. Unless what you really want, you can tell if something is sinful, but I mean in the aspect of wanting to be better. Do you know there's some people that don't want to see women in healthy relationships? That seems to be the number one thing that I'm seeing here on the internet. There's a lot of bumping heads between men and women, a lot of decensoring men, decensoring women, passports, and going over to these different places getting women because the ones here are no good. It's not that the ones here are no good. It's that a lot of the ones that are here have refused to lean back into their femininity and truly be women. And that's the whole point of not being mediocre. When you are no longer mediocre, you're not just going along with the standard of what the world has told you to do. You are now at a higher standard, spiritually and in every other way. You don't just allow people, you don't partake in groupthink. And there's a lot of groupthink happening today. What is this new somebody, if you want to explain to me in the comments, it's called a bust down now. Everything a bust down wig, bust down hairstyle, whatever, which is nothing more than a middle part, I believe. But I say that to say as an example of the whole groupthink mentality where now everybody is wearing the same hairstyle. And I'm like, when did this happen? When did it happen that BBLs were the standard of womanhood? That you have to get your body altered in order to be unique. You do what you want to do, but the point of being a divine feminine woman is that you're not like everybody else. You embrace your uniqueness. That's one way you cannot be mediocre, is by being different. And we have a time where people want to be the same. People don't want to embrace their uniqueness. Women don't want to embrace their unique features and their unique style and how they, dress and how they talk and how they speak. They want to be like one another. And a lot of that is because women are trying so hard to impress each other when they really should be focusing on what makes them feel good. I can tell you, when I began to focus on what I genuinely liked opposed to what I think I should like for my race, for my culture, I began to feel better. I began to realize, like, you know what? Because I had issues with family, because I'm not the one that's going to just pop off very quickly over any little thing. I actually had a family member get upset with me because I didn't want to travel across state to deal with a domestic squabble that had nothing to do with me. I had a family member that didn't really want to be around me because they felt like I was acting like I was better than them. All because I'm not willing to drop my hat and fight at any moment. This is what I dealt with. And for a little bit, I was wondering, like, am I soft? Am I a punk? That used to be the word back in the day. You a punk. P-U-N-K. My accent gets in the way. You a punk. And I'm like, I had thought it to myself, am I? Because I'm not willing to come across state to go fight somebody else's battle, to physically fight somebody else's battle. That makes me soft. That makes me like, I feel like I'm better than somebody. As I grew older, I started realizing I am better than that. Absolutely I am. If it's not my mama or my daddy, I don't need to be there. No, I do not. Because that's ghetto. That's ghetto. That's a ghetto mentality. Now, and I'll add to that my children. If it's not my father, my mother is gone, God bless her. But if it's not my father or my children, I don't need to cross state to go fight or argue with anybody. Do you know how ghetto that is? Do you know how low class and low level that is, to have to take yourself across to another state to fight somebody else's battle? That's something that masculine women do. Feminine women do not partake in those kind of activities. We do not get on the phone and get into other people's business because we are bored of our own lives. We are too busy being fabulous. We are too busy focusing on making sure our YouTube channel grows, or making sure our business is thriving, or making sure we're doing the best we can at our jobs, and making sure our children are healthy and enjoying our relationships. We don't have time to be in messiness. Feminine women do not do that. And that's another way people try to keep you mediocre. They try to keep you caught up in drama in order to get you distracted from what you should be focusing on, which is your elevation. We can't allow that as feminine women. You have so much potential when you lean back into your femininity and you realize that God created you to be a divine, dainty woman. And when I say dainty, I don't mean you're going to be running through fields with flowers in your hair. I just mean your mindset is that of peace. You do things that promote peace until somebody gives you a reason not to. And even then, that is your absolute last resort. We always come in peace. And that rattles people who are not accustomed to being around women who are in their femininity. They're not accustomed to women who want more in life than just to get by. I actually had people in my life, and this is a full transparent moment, I had people in my life who tried to encourage me to be a baby mother. They didn't want me to get married. Me and my husband, we were dating, we were having a great time, but he lived in one state, I lived in another state, which is right across the river, pretty much the same state. And we were engaged. We got engaged, and with a lot of fun comes your blessing. I'll put it that way, and you could put it together. And at that time, we're getting married. We were already engaged. He was like, we need to get married, And I actually had, I'm not going to say who it was out of respect, but I actually had a family member try to encourage me to just be somebody's baby mother. Say, you don't have to move over there. He can come over here and see my son's name, she said. And you know why she was trying to encourage me to be that way? Because all of her minions were that way. And I refused. And I'm not putting down the person that is that way, because sometimes you don't have a choice in the matter. But let's be real. Some women have that messy mentality because they have not been taught, they don't have any good examples, or they are choosing to go along with the culture that says, okay, we're close enough to have babies, but not close enough to get married. Feminine women do not subscribe to that mentality. We are not built to be somebody's girlfriend for 27, 57 years. Like, we're not going to do things like that. And this is absolutely real, because it comes to a certain point in time where you have to realize your worth. You're not going to let a man waste your time just calling you his wifey, but you don't have no legal standing in case he decide to up and leave you for Susie or Ray Ray. We don't do things like that. The feminine woman knows her value and says, no, I made this baby with a man, so this man is going to be taking care of it one way or the other. She doesn't accept less than that. Whether you marry him or whether you make sure that he's taken care of, everything in every way. We don't accept less than what we are supposed to have as women. We don't develop a sister wives mentality with different men's past situations. Like, I'm sorry, I have to go there, because you all need to understand, and we all need to make it very clear that the feminine mindset and that the masculine woman's mindset is completely different. It's not about looks. It's about mindset, mentality, how you live, and your spirituality. The looks come secondary to everything. You have some women that look amazing. They look more feminine. They probably look a lot more feminine than I do right now. They probably have the flowing locks. They got makeup pounded on. But a lot of it is artistry, so it looks very nice. But their mindset is warped. I'm here to develop the thought that you don't have to be that way. That not only can you hold yourself accountable, but you need to start holding other people accountable for what they bring into your life. And you do that by the choices that you make. Exactly. It's the inner work. And that's what you don't see a lot of. You see a lot of people promoting this performative femininity that tells you use these lines, buy these clothes, do this hairstyle, and this is how you get this man. We don't do that here. We go on the inside. I don't care if your wig is hard, soft, curly, or straight. If your mentality is junky, you're not going to be able to keep whatever you were able to attain by using your performance. Because a wise man, if a man has wisdom and is masculine, and he has wisdom, he can know when he's getting played and when he has a chameleon. And that's what we don't want to be. We don't want to be chameleons. And I don't want you to believe... Pig in a wig. Hey, I mean, I'm not about insulting anybody, but it is what it is. And it's unfortunate. I mean, even the scripture says that a beautiful woman who lacks discretion is like a ring of gold in a swine's snout. So pretty much you just quoted scripture. You didn't even know it. And that's what we're seeing. You know, we don't want to be women that lack discretion, that lack wisdom, that lack common sense. And this is not going to benefit anybody except ourselves. Why would we not want to do things and think in ways that benefit ourselves? That's what you have to ask yourself. Why are we allowing ourselves? And when I say we, I'm not talking about us here, because I would like to believe that if you're on this channel, you're here because you want to develop, or you already have, that mindset of an elevated feminine woman, and you want to be in community with other elevated feminine women, or you want to learn. So I believe that. But a lot of women don't have that mindset. A lot of women have the mindset that they are okay accepting, you know what? He'll marry me when he feel like it. You know, he taking care of the bills. He doing this, he doing that. But never put a ring on the finger, and they're fine because they're convinced that marriage is just a piece of paper. And I can tell you it is not. It is not. It gives you access to everything. Not that you should be going after a man just to get access, but you should be covered. When you are a girlfriend for a long period of time, unless you live in a state where it has common law, and even with that, there's certain restrictions on that. And that's just in marriage, not just relationships. I'm talking about just your status in your community, your status in the world. How do you want to be perceived by other people? And let me break this down for you. When I say perception, I'm not saying that you should care what other people think. I'm saying perception as in, how do you want people to treat you? Because if you carry yourself like you are a Bob the Builder kind of woman, where you can do it all, I can do it all, I'm for it tough. If you carry yourself in that way, nobody's going to come along to help you. Nobody's going to feel like you need help because you always got it all the time. And again, I'm speaking from experience. Believe it or not, I'm not a judgmental person. I say things because I've been there, done that. I'm only 38 and I've been grown since I was like 12 years old. So when I say things, I'm saying it from experience. The majority of what I speak here is my own lived experiences. I just want to put that out there because I know sometimes people feel like, you know, you're judging, you're doing this. The favorite line is, don't judge me, only God can judge me. And it's not about judgment, it's about correction, it's about encouragement, it's about teaching another way. That you don't have to just follow what you see out in the world. The TV doesn't have to be your programming. And when you lean into your femininity, which starts with leaning into your spirituality, the way I see it, you have a relationship with God, you have an outline for how you are supposed to be as a woman. Just a little side note with the Proverbs 31 woman, she was a woman of industry. And I like when it says her husband was respected in the city gate. This is not going to turn into a Bible study, I promise you. It says her husband was respected in the city gate. That means that she was doing something as his helpmate to make him look even that much better in the public eye. It says that she made linen, and you know, she had linen, and she had maid servants that she provided food for, and that, you know, she was a woman of industry, which means she still had goals and aspirations. She was doing stuff, but not in the way that the world thought that she should be doing it. I'm pretty certain that what she was doing, and I don't want to add to it to scripture, but I'm pretty certain that what she was doing wasn't paying the bills. It was just a nice compliment to the masculine man that she was with. And as feminine women, that's what you want to be. You want to be a compliment to the man that you're with. You want to enhance him. Your man can act like a fuddy-duddy. But when you come into his presence, when you come into the environment, you make things better, not worse. And that's my long way around of saying that's another reason why people stay mediocre or want you to be mediocre. Because when a woman is in her femininity heavy, she is influential. She has a presence and she doesn't have to say a word. When she comes into the room, her presence is felt. It's just how she carries herself and how people gravitate to her. When you are a genuinely kind person, and I'm not talking about how you look, I'm talking about your demeanor. When you come into a room and you're smiling, or you have I'm not saying you have a big, a creepy grin. You don't have to have that kind of thing. But if you are just warm in how you are as a woman, you radiate femininity, you radiate positivity. People can feel that. So naturally, the people around you are going to benefit from that, including your man, your children, your family. You want to be a sweet smelling aroma in the room. You don't want to be a stench. And a lot of women, when they are heavily in their masculine, they are a stench. They're like, oh, here comes trouble. And not in a cute way, here comes trouble, but actually, here comes trouble. And you don't want to be that way, because you want to put yourself in the position to always be able to receive from people. You want people to always feel like, I'm going to do for her because she is this way. She is this kind of person. I really love and respect her for that. And really, just being a decent human being, you should carry yourself in that way. All of us. This is not just exclusively for women. This is just for people, period. But there's something about the feminine presence when you can be warm and inviting, when you can let your guard down enough and be vulnerable enough, because a lot of women are not willing to be vulnerable because they feel like they have to keep up that tough facade in order to be taken seriously. And I know from experience, once again, growing up where I grew up, I never smiled. I walk around that corner, I constantly heard, smile. You need to smile. Why you not smile? Smile, ma. I constantly heard it. And while I know there's some, thoughts out there saying nobody has a right to tell a woman to smile, and I used to think that way too. I walk around the corner and, the boys out there selling the street meds would tell me, smile, ma. Why you not smiling? And I just still gritting, walking by, because I got to be tough. Because of look at what I'm around. I'm walking by them. I don't know if y'all really like me like that, or if you really want to, fight me, So when you grow up in a certain environment, this is real. You grow up in the city, you grow up in the hood, you develop that mentality, especially as a woman of color, where you got to be tough at all times. You have to have that hard exterior. Even if you are like a marshmallow on the inside, you can't let nobody see it. But when I got into my later 20s, my 30s, I started realizing this is no way to be. I got to constantly I can't even do it. I don't like how I look when I do that. Got a mean mug all the time. It's like, it's a lot of tension. It takes a lot to feel like you got to constantly be covered. And I just realized, you know what? First of all, I trust God. He keeps me. God keeps me. He protects me. I don't have to be this way. Number two, I got a whole husband. I don't have to be this way. I just don't have to be this way. I don't want to be this way. I don't want to feel like I have to be guarded. I don't want to feel like I have to give somebody an attitude or a stink face, or feel like I have to mistreat somebody before they mistreat me. That's no way to be. That can stifle your femininity also. When you feel like you constantly have to be on attack mode because you're afraid somebody's going to do something to you, that will stifle your femininity. That will cause you to just be regular. You don't want to kind of show yourself. You don't want to, bring too much attention to yourself. So you're just going to stay regular. I don't want people to see me doing too much because I don't want them to think this. No, I'm not about being regular. I refuse to leave this earth a regular person. I know that might sound crazy, but I refuse to leave this earth being a regular person. I wasn't built to be regular. Even the word says some tools are for common basic use and some are for extraordinary purposes. And I know I'm butchering the scripture, but if you know it, you can find it. But I'm not built to be regular. I'm not built to be just doing what everybody else does. And I don't think any of us can really thrive if we just want to go and do what everybody else does. That's no way to be. So as feminine women, don't allow people to keep you stuck in a mindset, in an environment, and a way of being that you don't really want to be. Sometimes we have to change up our friend groups. Some of us hang around people who all they do is sit around and talk about other people. All they do is fill their bodies and their minds with filth. If you're grown, you can do what you want to do. But if you are a woman who is looking to elevate in her mindset and her life, you're not going to get that far doing that if you surround yourself with those type of people. Now, I know some people might be thinking that you're pretty harsh on people. Well, I forgive people. I'm not outside of the realm of forgiveness. So I'm not saying that you just throw people away. I'm not saying that. When I speak this way, I'm not saying, oh, I'm too good for you. Pish posh. I'm not saying that. I'm saying create a distance. I'm saying, okay, if you, which I don't know why you would as a feminine woman, but if you get the urge to go back into the hood or go back where you are and visit so-and-so and them, do that. Pick up the phone, give them a call, see how they're doing. But on a day-to-day, majority of your time basis, you can't hang around them. You just can't. If they're doing the same thing they were doing when you all were in high school or middle school, and you're now in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, whatever, even if you're in your 20s, but you're trying to do well for yourself, you can't be around them all the time. You don't have to throw them away, but you can't be around them all the time. You're going to have to call them. Okay, the 4th of July coming up, Memorial Day, maybe I'll see you at the park. I'll see you at the cookout. I'll go over there. I might see you. But that's about it. I'll see you once or twice a year. We can't talk on a constant basis because that mentality you have, it doesn't judge with what I'm doing right now. It just doesn't. So in order to fight mediocrity, you're going to have to be very strategic. And I know that might seem opposite of femininity, but again, this is not performance. This is holistic. If you want to live a certain way, you have to move a certain way. Get to yourself. Get around people who are doing what you want to do, not just the people that you're familiar with. I had to leave a lot of people behind, too low vibrational. And I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it's like some people, they are content with the bare minimum, or they are content in whatever they've been programmed to believe, and they don't want to think outside of that. And that's fine for them. But that's not everybody's thing. Everybody doesn't want to stay stuck. Everybody isn't just repping the hood for the rest of their life. You know what I mean? You never forget. Of course, I know where I quote came from. I know where I used to live. I know where I used to be. But I haven't been back there in like 3 or 4 years because it brings back bad memories for me. I might go and see my father, but I don't want to be in that environment. It brings up a lot of bad memories for me. It wasn't a lot of stuff that was good. It was a lot of struggle, strife, and turmoil, not of my own doing. And I'm not saying everybody's background is like that, because you might go back to Shady Brook Farms where you and your family lived in a country club and it's fine for you. But all of us, this is real. All of us was not like that. All of us have to fight against. Some of us have to fight against those old mentalities, those old environments, those old people that are still trickling around to try to remind us of, quote, where we came from. We don't need that when we're trying to elevate. We don't. And even when I talk in regards to where you came from, you might not be in the most top-notch place right now. But if you are in a place of peace, meaning you have a spiritual life, meaning your home environment is not chaotic, meaning you are living opposite to the chaos you came from, you are doing better. Even if you're still living in the hood or living in the inner city or whatever, if your home life, the way you operate, is different than what you came up with and it's more peaceful, you are doing better. Yes, I'm willing to unlearn things and elevate. Yes, a lot of it is unlearning. our parents, God bless them, a lot of them did the best to their ability. They told us what they were told. And some of them we watched struggle because they were taught the hard way. It's a different mindset. And while people do like to complain about how this generation now is kind of confused, kind of warped, some things about this new generation is off, I can say that myself. But I say the greatest thing about this new generation is that they don't have the stuck mentality. They don't have the mentality that a lot of the people, a lot of our parents might have had. And of course, not all of our parents, but old school ways kept a lot of people in misery. A lot of old school ways, like of thinking that you can only be in certain environments, you can only do certain things based on certain things like your race, your color, your culture. That's like stuck mentality. And what I'm seeing today is that we see different options. This new generation doesn't feel like they're stuck anywhere. They'll quit a job in a moment if it's not really making them feel great mentally. And while I do think there's a balance to that, because you can't just up and leave all the time. If you have responsibilities, you have no fallback. That's just the way I see it, especially if you're a man or if you're a single person taking care of a family. You should do things decently and in order. But the fact that somebody is willing to leave, and I say that I've left jobs. Oh yeah, I've left jobs because they were, no, I'm better than that. I don't need this for some money. No, I can get it another way. But the mentality of back in the day, it wasn't like that. You could work a place 30, 40 years, even though you're miserable every day of your life, but you just keep on trudging along, doing what you got to do. We don't think like that now. We know that we have options. And that's one of the greatest things that has come out of this newest generation for me. I can say that they understand you need more than one stream of income. They understand that, mental health is important. Because many of us grew up in the mentality that mental health doesn't matter. You say you got depression, your family is like, okay, what are you depressed about? You don't pay no bills, you don't do this, you don't do that. And that further depresses you, but they don't care. It's just a mindset. But now we understand that mental health is very much important. Your spirituality, that's not something you have to wait until you're an older person to do. You don't have to spend time with the Lord only when you get older. That's something you need to do while you're young. You need to have your mind renewed so that you're not so easily persuaded by the things out here in the world. But I digress. But there is a lot of unlearning. Yes, a lot of unlearning. That stuckness, that spirit of stuck that had so many of our family members in a chokehold. I refuse to subscribe to it. I refuse. Yep. I refuse the spirit of stuckness. Not at all. I don't believe in it. I don't do it. I'm never stuck in any situation. And it's not because you got a man. A man, if he provides the way he's supposed to, you will be covered. A husband is supposed to cover you. But even your own divine feminine self as a woman, you should always feel covered because you, number one, know that you have your blessings from God. You know that he covers you and keeps you. And that alone should be enough encouragement to get you to understand that you don't have to accept less than what you deserve. Don't let people cause you to be mediocre. It's not necessary. And something even minor, I was in the store earlier today. I went into Rainbow because I still go into Rainbow once in a while. I think I said this on a previous video. And I like to get the little bodycon dresses. I don't wear them out. I wear them in the house. So a lot of the dresses you'll see, I have bodycon dresses. Very nice for in the house. But for me, I used to wear those dresses out and about. But as I've gotten older, I'm not old, but as I've gotten older, it's something about wearing such tight-fitting, close, like you can see every roll, crack, and crevice. I don't like that out in public. So I'll reserve those for in the house. Those are the dresses that when my husband comes in the house, he kind of sees some, okay? That's what the bodycons is for. So I went to the store earlier. I went to Rainbow, and I was just looking around, and I actually was looking for a specific type of item. I wanted to see if I was going to find something because this is a little, ooh, I'm a little warm. I should have turned my air conditioner on. My daughter has something in the oven. But as I was saying, my husband texted me earlier and said, hey, do you want to go out to the store with me later out in a neighborhood outside of where we live. It's a very nice area we go to in our city, but it's farther out. So he's like, yeah, I want to go to my husband. He'll travel the country to go to a different Walmart or Target. So he's like, you want to go to the Walmart with me out here? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll go. What he doesn't know is that he's not just going to that Walmart tonight. He's going to take me to dinner too. So I was trying to find an outfit so I can be, cute enough so that when he see me cute and everything, he think he's going to Walmart, but he's actually going to go to Walmart and then take me to dinner, and then we probably going to go to Target too. But anyway, so he texted me that, and I was looking for something in rainbow just to see like a cute little like springy type of thing. And I looked around and I'm like, all they have is like bodycon material, stretchy material. And I realized I'm starting to outgrow this. My point of saying this, I'm starting to outgrow rainbow. I realized that I walked out of the store with nothing, not even the bodycon dress that I would get for in the house. I'm like, nothing in there really appealed to me. I don't know if it's maybe some of the stuff they have for summer just looks kind of really like cheap. And I'm not about wearing back in the day, early 2000s when I was in my 20s, I would be rainbowed down. But now it's like, I realize, and I'm like, I don't like it. It looks cheap. I walk around. This is what I do to material now. I walk around. I feel the material. And I'm like, I don't like how that feels against my body. It's going to feel rough. One wash and it's done. But believe it or not, there is a point to this. I used to be content going to Rainbow, and I would just get a bunch of stuff, and, I think I'm cute. And I was cute, okay? Cheap, expensive, it doesn't matter. You can be cute. But when you begin to elevate in your thinking, as in even the kind of materials you want in your body, I started rubbing those materials like, that's going to be rough against my skin, and then it fits too tight. I don't like that. So I left out of there with nothing, and I end up going to Target, and I end up getting this. I spent more money at Target buying this. What I used to do is go to Rainbow and just grab something real quick. And I'm not saying that to put down Rainbow. I'm saying that even when your mindset changes about the different things you want to put in your body, it happens. You just start thinking differently. You don't mind spending a little bit of extra money for something that you actually want or actually is going to make you feel good. The old me would have went ahead and said, you know what? I can get 5 dresses for $40. I'm going to just get these dresses. They cute. That's fine. But me says, you know what? I'd rather go spend $40 on a dress or an outfit that's going to make me feel good. It's going to look nice. And I know it's going to last after washes after wash. So even in something as minor as your wardrobe, your thinking begins to change. It will. I never thought that I would outgrow Rainbow. And I'm not saying outgrowing it as in I'm never going to go back there, because like I said, I wear the bodycon dresses in the house. But trying to wear it outside, like I even stepped out on my porch with one of the bodycon dresses on, and I was like, just trying to, because it made me feel uncomfortable, because I'm like, okay, I don't want to be looking like I'm out here trying to catch dollars from people. That's in the house, But I digress. But I hope you all get my point of what I'm saying. Everything changes. Your tastes are going to change. Your taste in the type of people you want to be around, the taste in where you want to go, the taste in where you want to shop, the taste in where you want to even be. And, you might not want to shop late in the evening anymore. You might decide, it's more peaceful for me to shop during the daytime than late at night. I'm not about being in the crowd anymore. I am a people person, but I'm also an introvert too. So I love talking to people, but after a certain amount of time, I need my recharge time. I need just me time because I pour out. So I need me time. Elevation, absolutely. And these things that I'm talking about, there's nothing wrong with rainbow. If you have a rainbow in your area, what's the other one? City Blue. All those kind of stores we used to really shop at a lot when we were younger and thought nothing of it. Get a shirt for $2 and nothing of it. I know now they got Shein and all these different places. And from what I've heard, I see a lot of their pieces online. They look nice. But I'm like, how long are they going to last? This is not a fashion, video. But I'm saying this to prove the point of being mediocre is not the only choice. You don't only have to accept what's available to you. That doesn't have to be your first point of contact. If you decide to spend money on a quality piece, don't feel bad for it. Don't feel like, because I'm telling you, I had the same mindset. I would literally feel like I wasted money if I went and spent $100 on shoes. And that's $100. We know that shoes, especially good quality heels, pumps, can be upwards of hundreds of dollars. But I would feel bad if I went into Macy's and spent 80 something, 90 something dollars on some heels. Because I was trained to believe the mentality that for $80 you can come out with 5 pairs of shoes, just go to Walmart. That kind of thing. I'm not knocking it. You do what you can do until you do what you want to do. But sometimes you have to take a leap of faith, even in the small things. If it's something that's going to make you feel good and not be irresponsible, I'm not saying forego your rent or your mortgage to do this, but start living and being the way you want to be as a woman. If you see yourself as a more elevated woman, start doing things that she would do. Would a woman with the elevated mindset, with a woman with a confident mindset, assured of what God can do for her and what she can do, really be so miserly, worried about every little thing? Would she be the type of woman that would go out the house with skin-tight outfits showing every crack and crevice? Would she be the type of woman that would hang out in spots that will put her in harm's way? You have to think about that kind of thing when you're talking about not being mediocre and mediocre being a choice. It's so much. This video, this chat can be hours long. And eventually I'm going to do that because I have a lot of ideas for videos I want to do. And a lot of the topics I want to get into, I'm kind of sitting on them. I'm letting it simmer. I'm thinking about it because as women, there's so much to us. There's so many things we go through that people do not understand. Mentally, physically, people don't understand. And it's good to get it out there to show people that you're not alone. Show other women you're not alone. The emotional things we go through. That's one reason why, too, why you have to also be mindful of the people you surround yourself with, because we are hormonal in nature. If you're constantly around people who are pulling on you and tugging on you mentally, that's going to drain you as a woman. And I know this video might seem like I'm jumping from one topic to the next, but once again, this is all things woman. So I am a coach. I'm a consultant. I am not like a structured, this is not a college course I'm teaching. We're having real talk, discussion, girl chat here. But as women, we go through so much. And when people are constantly tugging and pulling on you, even when you're in your femininity, you still are, if you're a mother, if you're a wife, you're still giving. And because of that, you have to be even more mindful of how you are living your life, of the people you're surrounding yourself with, of what you are allowing to be taken into your body. These are all things you have to be mindful of, even the things that you choose to eat. Have to go now. We'll watch replay. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right, Kaylin, thank you for being here. Enjoy your day. Yes, but as women, we go through a lot. We go through a lot. And if you let people just tug on you without replenishing yourself, you're going to be depleted. And it's going to be hard for you to thrive in your femininity. And in that way, you will be just at the will of other people. You'll be easily persuaded because you're not mentally prepared to deal with the things that you need to deal with. We are hormonal, as I was saying. We can't allow people to just pull from us. That's another reason why you must be mindful of the people you're surrounding yourself with and the things you're taking part in. But I'm actually going to end this live soon too, because we are an hour in and I want you all to enjoy your time, enjoy your day, enjoy your dinner. But yes, don't let anybody convince you to believe that being mediocre is your lot in life, that you can't what more, that you can't live different and be different. You don't have to just shop everywhere everybody else shops. You don't have to have the same hairstyles. You don't have to subscribe to the same mindset and mentality about everything. You really don't. Okay? So on that note, I'm going to end this. Put the high heel emoji if you have stayed until the very end. And then I want you all to get the book, How to Be a Feminine Woman, The Blueprint. It's on Amazon. I'm going to leave the link to the book in the description. In the book, I give you 8 short but direct, very impactful chapters on how to be a feminine woman. Now, while everybody's femininity is going to show up in different ways via your personality, these are the 8 things you should be looking for when it comes to elevating in your femininity. When you look through the book, you'll see 8 chapters about her mindset, her man, her environment. You're going to see how she interacts with conflict. You're going to see spirituality. In that book, it's a short read. You can download it on Amazon directly to your phone. It's an ebook, How to Be a Feminine Woman, The Blueprint. And then I also have How to Detox from Toxic People. That book was inspired because I have been through so much in my personal life, dealing with toxic people, that I finally understood, by the grace of God, I understood, and by trial and error, that you don't have to deal with toxic people. And when you're coming out of that old mindset in those situations, you absolutely have to do a detox. And I put those thoughts into book form. So How to Detox from Toxic People, that book is also going to be linked in the description. And then I have an All Things Woman Femininity Journal, which I'm also going to put in the description of this live chat as well. Okay? If you haven't already done so, like and subscribe to this channel and share this content. I want to build this community. And this is how delusional I am. Since people say wanting great things is delusional, I want to build this community up to 1 million people. I believe we can get 1 million subscribers. We can get so many women who are looking to elevate and thrive in their femininity. I foresee doing events. I foresee us getting together and having events where we can come together as women and glean off of one another, because I believe there are a lot of women in this chat on my channel who have a lot to offer, but you all are kind of sitting on it because you're afraid of what people might say. We're not going to do that here. So like and subscribe, get the books. I'm going to leave the link in the description box. Take care, and thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. Take care.